In a shocking incident, 2 National Guard soldiers were shot on Wednesday near the White House in what officials described as a large targeted ambush. The suspect is in custody after suffering gunshot wounds during the attack. President Donald Trump was in Florida at the time of this attack, which prompted the White House to go into lockdown as law enforcement from multiple federal and city agencies swarmed the area. The Guard soldiers were part of a high-visibility patrol around 2:15 p.m., a few blocks from the White House, when the suspect came around a corner and ambushed them, Metropolitan Police Assistant Chief Jeff Carroll said at a press briefing. After an exchange of gunfire, other Guard members were also able to subdue the suspect, he said. The motive for the shooting was not immediately clear, but officials said they believe the shooter acted alone.
We're here to brief you on the tragic events that happened today at approximately 2:15 local time in Washington, D.C., where 2 of our brave members of the National Guard and the Department of War were brazenly attacked in a horrendous act of violence. They were shot. They're in critical condition. As you can see behind me, we have assembled the full force of both the federal and state and local law enforcement agencies to bring bear all of our resources to make sure we find the perpetrators responsible for this heinous act. And make no mistake, they will be brought to justice. Since this is an assault on a federal law enforcement officer, this will be treated at the federal level as an assault on a federal law enforcement officer. The FBI will lead out on that mission with our interagency partners, to include the Department of Homeland Security, Secret Service, ATF, DEA. And we're thankful for the mayor's assistance in this matter, the Metropolitan Police Department and their skills in investigating homicides and gun shootings in this city is exceptional. We will work together collaboratively because this is a matter of national security, because it's a matter of pride. President Trump has been informed. We've been in contact with the White House. We will shortchange the American public with no resources to make sure we find and safeguard our nation's capital right here in Washington, D.C., and bring anyone responsible for this heinous act of violence to justice.
U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth announced that President Donald Trump has directed the deployment of 500 additional National Guard troops to Washington, D.C. He called the attack deliberate and said that the shooter did this shot in a cowardly, dastardly act.
A series of very productive meetings, but I want to start by saying after those meetings, myself and my team were notified that 2 National Guardsmen have been shot in Washington, D.C., critically wounded. The shooter shot in a cowardly, dastardly act targeting the best of America, heroes willing to serve in Washington, D.C., serve for people they don't know and they've never met because they love their country and their capital and their community. They were willing to do dangerous things others were not because they love their fellow Americans. Someone decided to turn that into targeting National Guardsmen. That will only stiffen our resolve. We will never back down. We will secure our capital. We will secure our cities. In fact, this happened just steps away from the White House. It will not stand. And that's why President Trump has asked me, and I will ask the Secretary of the Army to the National Guard, to add 500 additional troops, National Guardsmen, to Washington, D.C. This will only stiffen our resolve.
Now, in a social media post, U.S. President Donald Trump called the suspected shooter an animal who would, quote-unquote, pay a very steep price, and also praised the National Guards. He, in fact, added in that very statement that the President of the United States and everyone associated with the office of the presidency are with them. This is the statement that has come directly from U.S. President Donald Trump, as he called the shooter an animal and also said that he is going to pay a very steep price.
2 members of the National Guard serving in Washington, D.C. were shot at point-blank range in a monstrous ambush-style attack just steps away from the White House. They had been deputized as part of the most successful public safety and national security mission in the history of our nation's capital, the D.C. Safe and Beautiful Task Force, which has achieved an unprecedented reduction in violent crime and crimes of all type. This heinous assault was an act of evil, an act of hatred, and an act of terror It was a crime against our entire nation. It was a crime against humanity. The hearts of all Americans tonight are with those two members of the West Virginia National Guard and their families. The love of our entire country is pouring out for them, and we are lifting them up in our prayers.
Now, Tesla CEO Elon Musk has expressed his feelings regarding the same. He took the matter to X, expressing his deepest condolences to the family of the two National Guardsmen who were murdered in cold blood. This is the statement that we are running on your screens at the moment. He called for a radical action to reform our broken system. While addressing service members, Vice President JD Vance asked for prayers for two National Guardsmen who were shot.
We still don't know the motive. There's a lot that we haven't yet figured out. But what we do know is that a couple of National Guardsmen were injured in the line of duty. And first of all, I want everybody who's a person of faith to say a prayer for those two National Guardsmen, that they're able to spend Thanksgiving with their families instead of losing their lives, because I understand they're still in pretty tough condition. But I think it's a somber reminder that soldiers, whether they're active duty, reserve, or National Guard, our soldiers are the sword and the shield of the United States of America. And as a person who goes into work every single day in that building and knows that there are a lot of people who wear the uniform of the United States Army, let me just say very personally, thank them for what they're doing. We're grateful to them, and we're praying that they're going to be safe and they're going to spend Thanksgiving with their families. God bless them.
Now, former US President Barack Obama, in a tweet that he made on his social media profile on X, wrote that there is no place for violence in America. He, in fact, in his statement added that Michelle and he are praying for the service members who were shot in Washington. Latest one is the post coming in from Barack Obama. We are also flashing the lines on your screens. Mayor Muriel Bowser has confirmed that the suspect is now in custody for his targeted shooting and will be persecuted to the full extent of the law. The shooting unfolded near Farragut Square, a popular lunch spot for office workers, just a few blocks away from the White House. The park, where light posts are wrapped in wreaths and boughs for a holiday season, is now flanked by a fast casual restaurant and a coffee shop, as well as two metro stops. Witnesses described a chaotic scene after shots were fired, with pedestrians also fleeing the spot.
Well, I was headed to get lunch, and I got up to 17th and I Street and was going to take a right. And as soon as I got up 17th and I Street, we heard like rapid gunshots. So myself and other people started to run back down I Street. There were also like a UPS truck that like was speeding by too. And we got about halfway down I Street towards 18th, and we stopped because everything was quiet. So we thought maybe it was construction going on, though it certainly didn't sound like that. But then we started walking back, and then we heard more gunfire.
Now, the suspect who is accused of shooting two National Guardsmen has been identified as an Afghan national, according to NBC News. Investigators identified the suspect as Rahmanullah Lakanwal, a 29-year-old Afghan national from Washington state, according to a Justice Department official who spoke on condition of anonymity. The attack is being investigated as an act of terrorism, as per the official. Lakanwal came to the U.S. in 2021 on a special visa program for Afghans who assisted the U.S. during the Afghanistan's war and also were vulnerable to reprisals from the ruling Taliban after the U.S. withdrawal, the official said. But he overstayed his visa and is in the country illegally, according to the official. The incident is being investigated as a possible act of terrorism, according to the outlet. The official said the suspect is alleged to have used a handgun. Law enforcement officials are now trying to confirm all the personal details related to him, as per NBC's recent report.